Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Josh Poet with you, First Contact Radio. I hope you're doing well in your neck of the world, your neck of the woods, whatever that term is. Anyway, we got a lot of news and information for you today, as always. So let's get started with the dream spell date for today. Today it's a yellow day, and it is a cosmic day. Yellow cosmic star is the name of the day, and the guide for today is the human. So to recap, from what we've learned, yellow is the color of ripening. The cosmic tone is tone number 13. It's called the cosmic tone of presence. The kin for today, the day kin, is called the star. And the star is all about elegance. And the guide for today is the human, which is all about free will. So we put them all together, and our phrase for today, or our name of today, is called the yellow cosmic star guided by the human. It is the 24th day of the cosmic moon, which means there are only 4 more days left in the rest of this moon or this month, and then the whole calendar system is going to start over, but not before there's a day out of time, which takes place on the 25th. We'll talk about that more later. The phrase for today is I endure in order to beautify, transcending art. I seal the store of elegance with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of free will. And of course, on the Gregorian calendar, it is Wednesday, July 20th, 2011. So that catches you up to speed with where we are in the calendar. Now let's jump over to Dirk Bradshaw, who has some news and information today about the Royals. So Dirk, over to you.
Next up on the Cosmic News Network, the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw.
Hello, Mr. Hajaplamsupin. Fiona said you wanted to see me.
Yes, Brandon.
Yeah, it's Brian. Sir.
Right. Brandon. I have been hearing quite a lot of good stuff about you. I hear that you have keen sense of finance.
I do.
Well, how do you explain you a male boy in my office scoring with more hot babes than I do? I mean, what is your secret?
No secret, sir. I just go on freeinla.com. There are over 3,000 things to do for free in Los Angeles. And it is really an easy navigate as well.
freeinla.com. Well, I will check it out. Wow, I thought I was going to have to give you a raise to get that information out of you.
Oh. Wow. Well, can I at least get promoted out of the mailroom?
No. Well, not unlike others multimillionaire executives. I like to keep my competition in the mailroom.
Flying high above the planet Earth, this is the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw.
Boys and girls, children of all ages, it is time for the big show. That would be the Cosmic News with Dirk Bradshaw. I am Dirk Bradshaw, and tonight, well, it's all royals. Everywhere you go, it's either about a royal wedding or it's about a royal visit here in the United States. Royal this, royal that. That just drives us here at the Cosmic News Network crazy, because we feel it takes away from the real important stuff. So, if we're going to talk about the royals, then we're going to do it Cosmic News style. That means exposing the royal family, skinny legs and all. So, when everyone else is talking about how beautiful Princess Kate looked on her wedding day, you will blow their minds with this stuff.
There are people who believe that they have a God-given right to rule over others. They believe that their outward appearance is superior to all others. They harbor selfish ambitions to be rich and to have power over what they describe as common people. They lie, cheat, steal, strangle, stab, and slash their way to power. They believe that their actual willpower, what the British occultist Aleister Crowley described as the will of Thelema, the royal will, must be obeyed. Literally millions of people have been slaughtered at the behest of the royal lust for war, and thousands of people have been assassinated so that demonic dukes and killer queens can reign supreme. This cabal of crowned killers use the global network of secret societies, loosely described as the Illuminati, to do their bidding and killing. The conspiratorial view of history is the correct view of history. Conspiracy to grab property, conspiracy to make illegal profits, and conspiracy to assassinate has been the driving force behind the royal political elite for thousands of years. Many people believe that conspiracy in world politics simply does not exist. But it is a provable fact that the royal political elite have committed murder to gain power over and over again throughout the ages. Many of these murders were the result of a conspiracy usually orchestrated by politicians and aristocrats serving members of royal families. The Roman Emperor Julius Caesar was stabbed to death on the Ides of March. This was a conspiracy. US President Abraham Lincoln was shot at point-blank range by a distant relative of the British Prime Minister's wife, William Booth. This was a conspiracy. Every November the 5th, the gunpowder plot is celebrated. Guy Fawkes planned to explode a bomb beneath the Houses of Parliament. This was a conspiracy. In recent times, we have seen the last truly popular president of the United States, Mr. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, assassinated. This was a conspiracy. According to Muhammad al-Fayed, Princess Diana was the latest victim of a royal conspiracy in which she was allegedly murdered under orders from the British royal family. History teaches us that the royal elite have killed before, and it is most likely that they will kill again. Many people believe that capital punishment, usually in the form of hanging, is no longer permitted in Britain. This is not so. The royal family still reserve the right to prosecute and then hang someone if found guilty of treason. Treason, in its most harmless form, is simply criticism of the royal family. A more serious form of treason would be to conspire, just as Guy Fawkes did, to attack the very heart of the royal political establishment. And another serious form of treason would be to accuse the royal family of murder, and thus turn public opinion against the monarchy, possibly resulting in the dethronement of the royals. This film does commit treason, but it is the truth. History tells us that the German impostors who occupy the British throne have consistently tortured, illegally imprisoned, and even murdered, sometimes with their own hands, people who have criticized the monarchy throughout history. This film, for the first time ever, exposes the murderous and, in some cases, downright satanic activities of the monarchy. Let it begin. For the crowned killers of Europe, torture, disemboweling, hanging, burning, strangling, poisoning, and killing in the most satanic manner is the order of the day. This is the modus operandi of royal families. For centuries, the royal elite have devised terrible punishments for anyone accused of treason. The monarchy reserved the most disgusting forms of torture and death for those who questioned the royal will. A so-called traitor would often have each arm and leg tied to 4 horses, which were whipped to gallop in opposite directions, thus ripping the victim into 4 parts, whilst still alive. Often, the royal elite would divide the victim's heart into sections and send these for public display to different parts of the country as a macabre warning. The British throne has been bathed in blood for centuries. At one time, Britain contained several small kingdoms. These small kingdoms, ruled over by an intermarried, self-elected elite, were gradually amalgamated into the single monarchy which rules over Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, England, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and secretly controls the United States of America.
Oh, man, I can't believe it's over. Where does the time go? Well, I see the fat lady's off the stage. She's looking right at me. It's time for me to go put her to bed. I hate goodbyes. So instead I'm going to say, until we meet again, I'm Dirk Bradshaw for the Cosmic News. Wake up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of people.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing. What they're losing from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, Big Brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. One if by land and two if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. This is Josh Poet, and this is the UFO news for today. All right, we have a number of reports here today. The first one is from Hive Mind Radio. This is over at YouTube. All Seeing Eye UFO. Let me play a little bit of this for you here. Okay, let me give you a bird's eye view. How would that be, huh? Alright, as you can see here, we've got a very interesting looking diamond-shaped UFO. A diamond-shaped UFO right here, and I was talking to someone the other day from Phoenix. I was asking them about the dust storm that they've been experiencing. They were out washing off their backyard and their patio and around their house again because they did get engulfed in the dust storm, and I asked them if they see anything in the sky. And they had sent me a copy of this video saying that they've seen things like this in the sky, and that quite normally when they're out and about walking at night, out walking the dogs, he will see a variety of different things that are out there flying around that are kind of unusual. So this is a longer video. It's like 7 minutes in length, but you can see here it's kind of a, let's see if we can zoom that right in the middle of the screen here. I mean, pretty interesting looking object, don't you think? It kind of does look like an eye right in the middle of it. Is this real? Is this manufactured? I don't know, but it definitely looks like an eye. Moving right along to our next story. This is a video. I'm going to play a little bit of this. It's 12 minutes in length. You can watch some of it later. This is a video all about a mass.
Outbound flights were grounded after the unidentified
This is
flying object was detected by a flight. The incident has captured the attention of Chinese media. Theories about the UFO's identity are burning up on the internet as well. They include everything from a hidden U.S. bomber to an elaborate man-made hoax. For now, the UFO continues to be a mystery. A spokesman from China's Civil Aviation Administration confirmed to ABC News that the matter is under investigation.
Some Chinese residents are on edge this morning after another apparent UFO sighting. It's the second one in 2 weeks. The first sighting was on July 7th, and an airport had to be shut down.
All right, that's a UFO if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, can you identify it?
That's undeniable.
The airport had to be shut down after people apparently saw twinkling lights above the airport terminal. 17 flights had to be diverted. The latest sighting happened just 2 days ago, and people say they saw 4 lantern-like objects forming a diamond shape in the air, hovering in the sky for over an hour. And aviation experts say they don't know what it was. It wasn't a plane.
Scientists from all over the world are trying to figure out what caused a mysterious blue light to spiral in the sky over Norway on Wednesday.
As UFO sightings go, this one was as good or as weird as it gets.
A light appearing high in the Arctic sky, baffling those who saw it and exciting a lot of comment. Early yesterday morning, just before dawn, this appeared in the Norwegian sky. A blue light, small at first, growing into a spiral, and then disappearing into what appeared to be a black hole. In the northern community of Trondelag and on a Norwegian military base, cell phones snapped, video cameras rolled, and bloggers got busy.
Tonight, Norwegian authorities were investigating strange lights seen in the Arctic sky. The spiraling white light was seen for several minutes Wednesday morning. Locals say the light appeared to be bigger than the moon. Thousands of Norwegians bombarded the Meteorological Institute to ask what that light could have possibly been. Some feared it could have been a meteor. Others a black hole, and there are even those that thought it could be aliens.
A strange spiraling white light was spotted in the early morning sky over Sydney, with even skeptical witnesses wondering if it was a UFO. The unusual sight was recorded by hundreds of people from Victoria north to Queensland.
A spiral in the sky around a bright light.
Scientists left baffled.
Alright, that's a whole collection of UFO sightings. There's about another 10 more minutes of that video, so I'm going to leave that up to you to watch that further. It's linked to our page there, firstcontactradio.com. Right-hand column there, you'll see UFO news. Moving right along, we have a sighting here. This is a UFO mothership sighting called Live, July 20th, over South America. Let's play a little bit of this for you here. Alright, you can see there's quite a big object right in the middle of the screen. Just floating there. And let's see if there's anything closer we get. Alright, it appears that the main sighting of this takes place during the beginning of this video. There you go, it's still out there again. So go ahead and check this video out. It's up on our page. Have a sighting here. This one takes place video of unknown bright object recorded in San Remo in northwestern Italy, recorded on the 18th of July 2011, 9:15 p.m. Check out what this is all about here. UFO over San Remo. Alright, you're saying it's over in this area here. It's kind of faint. You really can't see it at this point. There we go. It's definitely gotten brighter. And it's just up there. Faded out. Okay, and there we go. It's kind of darts back and forth. Interesting how it's just kind of changing its lighting and we got one more here for you. This is a interesting looking one. This is a square light. Okay, it's date of the sighting was Saturday, July 16, 2011, over central Nova Scotia in Canada. It says eyewitness states the sun was setting and the clouds were orange. There was a strange white light beaming through the hole in the clouds. Although everything around it was gray or orange, this bright hole was rectangular in shape and unchanging. I can never recall seeing a cloud formation with a near perfect rectangular shape. Time and time again, I'd say if you want to witness a UFO sighting, watch a few sunsets. Most UFO sightings happen during this time. During this time of the day, due to the sun's angle and the bending of the light from a different direction hitting the once cloaked UFO, but now visible because of the sudden change of the ray's direction. This will reveal a UFO in the sky, even if it is cloaked. The time varies between a few seconds and more than 5 minutes. So we've got video here to support this. Let's look at this video. And look at this. A definite square right up in the middle of the sky. I mean, look at that. That's not normal to see a square object up in the sky like that. Is it? I'm certainly not aware of any square objects. Okay, so again, strange formations, strange patterns happening around the skies all over the world. These are just part of what's out there. Every day there's UFO sightings. So something's definitely going on. Definitely going on. You have to at least be aware of that just from everything that you're seeing. Now, what are these UFOs? They're unidentified or what they are. Does it mean that they are from other worlds? Not necessarily. Our military on this planet have been experimenting in reverse engineering craft ever since the Roswell incident, maybe even before that, which we don't even know about down here. But they have the technology to do things like this, to test the various different ways in which their craft can maneuver around this planet. So it is quite possible that some of these sightings are military craft. There are reports that some of the abductions that have taken place out there have been military abductions. So on one hand, it does seem like there is an effort of the governments of the world to either use their technology to test it, keep it secret by saying it is extraterrestrial races from other planets, or to discredit the UFOs and the extraterrestrial races for other planets by being involved with things like abductions or showing up at places where there are disasters, maybe giving people the idea that they were the cause of it. At this point in time, it's still kind of up in the air of what the agenda is. I can tell you, though, as I've said a number of times before, that if the aliens that are there were truly going to attack, they would have done it, first of all, when they first got here, the element of surprise. And second of all, they wouldn't wait for you to arm yourself on this planet so you can attack them. They would have definitely done it a long, long time ago. The fact that they haven't, the fact that the project like Project Blue Book determined that they were not a threat to national security, which is one of the reasons why they disband, all gives us clues that maybe there's propaganda going on which is trying to get you to believe something other than the truth. So be smart about this. There are a lot of races out there. There's not just the gray race, the ones with the big eyes. There's a lot of different races out there, and more of them want to do good and be assisting to humankind than those that are out wanting to do bad. So just pay attention to that. Lots of news stories. Go to firstcontactradio.com. Look at all the news stories. There's a lot of UFO sightings there. I believe we've been posting them the last 2-3 months maybe. A lot of sightings every single day. Go to Google. Just Google in UFO sightings, UFO news. You'll be amazed at what you come up with. Every day there's something new. All right? That's the UFO news for today. I am going to jump to a song in honor of the moon landing. This song is called We Never Went to the Moon. I'll be back.
If all of this is true, and the evidence strongly suggests that it is, then our government, for some reason, has taken the stance that the general public must not be told the truth.
Very good. Ready?
go to the moon? Did we really land on the moon? And why weren't there any stars? Did we really go to the moon? Did we really land on the moon? And why weren't there any stars? Why weren't there any stars? July 20, 1969, 3 astronauts embark on a historic mission to the moon. On Earth, millions of people gather together and watch it live on TV. Did we really go to the moon? Did we really land on the moon? And why weren't there any stars? Some say the whole thing was a fake, that we didn't have the technology yet to accomplish this feat. And in haste to win the Cold War, created one of the greatest hoaxes of all time. Did we really go to the moon? Did we really land on the moon? And why weren't there any stars? Despite the fact that there is no atmosphere on the moon, we all watched the American flag flapping strongly in the wind. And we saw astronauts walking upon a surface that they described as much like the high desert of the United States. Did we really go to the moon? Did we really land on the moon? And why weren't there any stars? Too many questions and not enough answers. Did the Eagle really land? $40 billion to tell a story. Are there really footprints in the moon's sand? What do you think? Did we really go to the moon? Did we really land on the moon? And why weren't there any stars? Why weren't there any stars? In the sky, there should be some stars. There weren't any stars. Why weren't there any stars? Did we really go to the moon? Did we really land on the moon? Why weren't there any stars? Why weren't there any stars? Why weren't there any stars? Did we really go to the moon? Everybody, that is UFOetry. The song's called We Never Went to the Moon. Sting Mask on guitar. I was yours truly on vocals. And we wrote that song basically with the idea that
one, conspiracy and controversy, well, it's good for music, a good topic. The moon landing hoax has been a topic for some time out there, and we decided to put it to music, and well, it's received quite a bit of attention. The music video you saw won an award, actually won a couple awards from Los Angeles Music Award and the LA Indies as an independent music video. And the video's gotten quite a lot of viewings. I mean, it's not burning up the charts, but we're about 500,000 viewings since it's been up there. And I always enjoy this time of the year because when the moon landing comes along, there'll invariably be a number of comments that will be up on the video itself. And, you know, anything from, I mean, I've been called everything you can possibly imagine on either end of the spectrum, from this is great to you're a complete idiot. You know, what is this all about? It's amusing. The whole idea was to get people to talk, to get people engaged in a conversation about the topic. And that has done exactly that because, as you will see, there's been a lot of comments on the video itself, so it is doing what it was supposed to do. It's stimulating conversation. And it's important that we talk about these things because there's a lot of things going on in the world that if we don't discuss them, then they just kind of get pushed aside. You know, if you've seen the new Transformers movie, they talk about the moon landing in there. And they address issues that the moon landing conspiracy theorists themselves talk about. One of the things talked about by moon landing conspiracies is the idea that how could all of Houston be fooled with the moon landing when the feed came through and they all saw what was going on. And the conspiracy theorists have maintained that a small group was in charge of the feed that went into Houston, went into the main center there, and that nobody knew except for a small handful. Well, that exact question was answered and addressed in Transformers, the third part, where they talked about the feed was controlled. There was only a small group who knew what was going on because what they were actually checking out on the moon was a crashed alien spaceship. So, though they didn't go down the line of the moon landing was a fake, they went down the line that the moon landing and the information that the public got was faked because there was something up on the moon and that something was going on the moon and that they sorry about that, and that they weren't supposed to let the public know about it. All right, so we're going to be doing the moon tomorrow, and we are going to have John Lee will be here to talk about that. And in the meantime, I'm going to jump on some of these cases here, and this is Rupert Murdoch. So let me play a little bit of this for you. And this is highlights of what went on yesterday. Now, I sat and I watched it for quite some time, and it was quite interesting. You know, I think James Murdoch has a stuttering problem. I didn't know that. But it seemed like every time a question was posed to him, he would spend a lot of time doing or and I don't know about you, but I've kind of learned that that's not really good for communication, to be speaking in such a way. It doesn't really show a lot of confidence if you're not certain of what you're saying. Kind of like how the press secretaries in Washington always are. You know, we have the guy in there now whose last name is Carney. Get it? Carney, like a carnival, who's out there, and the guy before, the stuttering guy before, and the stuttering guy before him that don't seem to know the answers, that are always, Well, anyway, in all of the circus, these are some highlights of what went on yesterday. Let me play this for you, and I will be, well, I'll be right here, but check this out. Check this out. Here we go.
Their private innermost feelings and their private tears bought and sold by News International for commercial gain.
We've now got a full-on police investigation.
Take over B-Sky. B was the chief policy of the Labour Party was to lick the boots of News International.
The phone hacking scandal is refusing to go away. The Murdoch dynasty has done what it can to limit the damage, but now the three key players in the crisis have faced their biggest grilling yet.
We felt ashamed of what had happened and thought we would have bring it to a close.
People lied to you and lied to their readers.
We had broken our trust with our readers.
Do you believe he conducted illegal activities on behalf of News of the World?
I can only comment what I know, and I don't know that.
What is your belief?
I don't know.
You don't know what he did?
I don't know what he did for the News of the World. I'm sorry. I don't know what he did.
Do you not think people will just find it incredible that as chief executive of the company you don't know?
Well, it may be incredible, but again, it is also the truth.
Can I take you back to 2003? Are you aware that in March of that year, Rebecca Brooks gave evidence to this committee admitting paying police?
I am now aware of that. I was not aware at the time. I'm also aware that she amended that considerably very quickly afterwards.
I think she amended it 7 or 8 years afterwards. But did you or anyone else?
Sorry.
Did you or anyone else at your organisation investigate this at the time?
No.
Now, I can say that I have never paid a policeman myself. I've never sanctioned or knowingly sanctioned a payment to a police officer. I was referring to that wide-held belief, not widespread practice. And in fact, in my experience of dealing with the police, the information they give to newspapers comes free of charge.
Did you read our last report into the matter where we referred to the collective amnesia of your executives who gave evidence to our committee?
I haven't heard that, but...
So a parliamentary inquiry found your senior executives in the UK guilty of collective amnesia and nobody brought it to your attention.
Yes, but you're really not saying amnesia, you're really saying lying.
I would have thought that someone would like to bring that to your attention, that it would concern you. Did they forget?
No.
You knew for sure in January of this year that the one rogue reporter line was false. Is that right?
I forget the date.
The Millie Dowler case only came to my attention when it was reported in the press a few weeks ago.
So
and
only
it was
when The Guardian reported it?
It was
that
a
specific?
total, and I can tell you it was a total shock. That was the first that I had heard of it and became aware of it.
And that, when I first heard of it was 2 weeks ago. Sorry, that's just how it is.
It just seems, I think, incredible that you as the editor were so unaware of such fundamental issues to do with this investigation.
In some ways, I think the opposite. I don't know anyone in their right mind who would authorise, know, sanction, approve of anyone listening to the voicemails of Millie Dowler in those circumstances. I just don't know anyone who would think it was a right and proper thing to do.
This terrible thing happened on your watch. Mr. Murdoch, have you considered resigning?
No.
Why not?
Because I feel that people I trusted, I'm not saying who, I don't know what level, but let me down. I think that, frankly, I'm the best person to clean this up.
All right, there you have it. Those are highlights from yesterday. Now, like I said, I did watch quite a bit of it, and it was, I don't know, they're slippery, sneaky fellows, those guys. you know. But what I have learned, that you can be the CEO of a large company and you don't have to know anything that goes on within that company, because each one of them have claimed that they didn't know what was going on when asked what was going on in their company, and they found it strange that members of parliament thought it was strange that they didn't know. They just seemed like, oh, well, why would I know that? I'm only the CEO of the company. I don't need to know what's going on within my company. And they called Rupert Murdoch on it. They said that, sir, that you've claimed that you are there 16 hours a day working on your paper. All of these things in your companies, all of these things happen during your watch, and yet you claim you have no knowledge of that. How could that be? So either he isn't paying attention what is going on over there, or he is just allowing things to pass. They asked a question of James Murdoch if he heard the term, was it willful ignorance, I think was the term that they used, and he just didn't know what it was. I don't know exactly what that was, and he just let it go, and then Rupert Murdoch jumped in saying yes, he knew what it was, but they weren't doing that. So it's very interesting watching how they're twisting their words and squirming and trying to get around it. I don't think that these members of parliament bought it. I think that they were really kind of paying attention to what they were saying and a little bit smarter than what they were. We'll find out, though, what all comes of this. Now, moving right along, we have Ron Paul here. I didn't get a chance to go over this yesterday, so I'm going to do this right now. This is Ron Paul's talk for the week Texas Straight Talk. Here you go.
Weekly update for July 18th. The debt ceiling debate is providing plenty of opportunity for political theater in Washington. Proponents of raising the debt ceiling are throwing around the usual scare tactics and misinformation in order to intimidate opponents into accepting more debt and taxes. It is important to distinguish the truth from the propaganda. First of all, politicians need to understand that without real change, default is inevitable. In fact, default happens every day through monetary policy tricks. Every time the Federal Reserve engages in more quantitative easing and devalues the dollar, it is defaulting on the American people by eroding their purchasing power and inflating their savings away. The dollar has lost nearly 50% of its value against gold since 2008. The Fed claims inflation is 2% or less over the past few years. However, economists who compile alternate data show a 9% inflation rate if calculated more traditionally. Alarmingly, the administration is talking about changing the methodology of the CPI calculation yet again to hide the damage of the government's policy. Changing the CPI will also enable the government to avoid giving seniors a cost of living adjustment on their Social Security checks and raise taxes via the hidden means of bracket creep. This is a default. Just because it's a default on the people and not the banks and foreign holders of our debt does not mean it doesn't count. Politicians also need to acknowledge that our debt is unsustainable. For decades, our government has been spending and promising far more than it collects in taxes. But the problem is not that the people are not taxed enough. The government has managed to run up $61.6 trillion in unfunded liabilities, which works out to $528,000 per household. A tax policy that would aim to extract even half that amount of money from American families would be unimaginably draconian and not unlike attempting to squeeze blood from a turnip. This is unequivocally a spending problem brought about by a dramatically inflated view of the proper role of government in a free society. Perhaps the most abhorrent bit of chicanery has been the threat that if a deal is not reached to increase the debt by August 2nd, Social Security checks may not go out. In reality, the chief actuary of Social Security confirmed last week that current Social Security tax receipts are more than enough to cover current outlays. The only reason those checks would not go out would be if the administration decided to spend those designated funds elsewhere. It is very telling that the administration would rather frighten seniors dependent on Social Security checks than alarm their big banking friends who have already received $5.3 trillion in bailout, stimulus, and quantitative easing. This instance of trying to blackmail Congress into tax increases by threatening Social Security demonstrates how scary it is to be completely dependent on government promises and why many young people today would jump at the chance to opt out of Social Security altogether. We are headed for rough economic times either way, but the longer we put it off, the greater the pain will be when the system implodes. We need to stop adding more programs and entitlements to the problem. We need to stop expensive bombing campaigns against people on the other side of the globe and bring our troops home. We need to stop allowing secretive banking cartels to endlessly enslave us through monetary policy trickery. And we need to drastically rethink government's role in our lives so we can get it out of the way and get back to work. Thanks for calling this update. A new update is placed on this number, 888-322-1414 every Monday. The written text can be found on my website, www.house.gov/Paul, under the heading Texas Straight Talk. Thanks for calling.
Alrighty, so there you heard Ron Paul. Now let me just zip through some of the other news here. We're not going to be able to get to all of it, but I've got it all linked up. You go to our firstcontactradio.com, and from there you're going to see on the right-hand side the link that says Daily News. So we've got a link up there. This is to Dutch Sins. He's talking about some more HARP and scalar square patterns that are outbreak in North Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Winnipeg, Canada. This report just came out this came out yesterday. And then we have this other report which also came out today talking about further scalar square and HARP outbreak again in, it says weather modification gone wrong. So I would suggest you look at that. Dutch is on top of the weather, and he's been doing a great job of pointing things out. Spaceweather.com, it has a note to astronauts, be alert for auroras. As for the hour's wind down on the final mission of NASA's 30-year shuttle program, a solar wind stream is buffeting the Earth's magnetic field. And as you can see here, the winds are going at 645 kilometers per second according to spaceweather.com. We go down here and we see that as far as a geomagnetic storm, there is a 30% chance today of it being active, and 5% chance of this being a minor storm at lower altitudes. And higher altitudes, it gets a little bit, the numbers go up by about 5%. AccuWeather.com here, it says that this is a story called The Stifling States of America. It says it's by Heather Butchman. Says another sweltering heat wave is groping a large part of the U.S., with at least 17 states hitting the 100-degree mark Tuesday and more than 40 surpassing 90 degrees, while it's already hot on the East Coast. The worst is on its way. Areas along the northeast, heavily populated Interstate 95 corridor will have highs near or higher than 100 degrees by the end of the week as the steamy air spreads eastward to the plains. So read the rest of that story there. There's more to it. They're getting a lot of stuff there in the Midwest. All right, so that's what I've got news-wise for today. I'm going to save these other stories for tomorrow because they're more generic stories. But for the time being, what I am going to do is I'm going to take you on a journey real quick here to a website, firstcontactradio.com. On the right-hand side, scroll down and there's a link here. It says under Time, Mayan Dream Spell. There's two links I want you to know about. One is this Law of Time, which we're going to go to right now. Below that, you see the download the free widget. That's the widget we've been using and that I use every day for the dream spell. All right, you click on the link for the Law of Time. You enter the site. The reason I want you to go here is because this site here is the site of Jose Argelis, who passed away earlier this year. But prior to that, he went and he spread the word about what's going on with the dream spell, what's going on with the 13 moon calendar. You can see there's a link here, 13 moon calendar, and you've got all kind of information, tutorials, how it works, what it's all about. A lot of great information. So I want you to check that out. Now let's jump back over here to our part for today. All right, we're going to look at the Tzolk'in. Now, where we last left off is that we talked about the 13 numbers 1 through 13, which make up the 13 columns from right to left, from left to right. We have the 20 symbols, which go from top to bottom. Now, the way that this system works is very easy. What it is, it's a progressive numbering system. You start with the number 1, one tone, and symbol number 1 up in the upper left-hand corner here, and you see that when you look at that first box, you got a combination of these two. So you take that first tone in the first column and you add it to the dragon, so you start off with a 1 dragon. And you're going to now continue to move down this first column all the way until you get to the end of the first column, and then you're going to move to the second column. And every progression is another day. So after the first day, you move down to the second day, and you move from the dragon to the wind because it progresses forward 1. And the numbers themselves also progress forward. Because even though we're in the first column, there's 13 columns here, we have to count the numbers in order from 1 through 13. We need to make sure that we're following that. So we start up here at the top. We got a 1 dragon. We move down to the wind. We have a 2 wind. Then we have a 3 knight, a 4 seed, a 5 serpent, and we continue that progression all the way down until we get to 13. When we get to 13 Skywalker, 13 is our last number. So the next number isn't going to be a 14. It's going to be a 1 again because we start over. And we just continue right down. The next one is the 14 symbol, but we start over with our numbering count of 1 through 13. So we go back to a 1 wizard, and then a 2 eagle, and a 3 warrior, and that process continues till you get to the bottom of this column, and then you go up to the top of the next column. Now you're in the column number 2, which correlates to the second tone on a whole, but each individual squares is its next successive number. And we continue to do this all the way through the grid until we get to the end. Now there's one of these that's highlighted right here. The reason it's highlighted is because this is where we are today. So you can see in the grid we're over here in the 11th column. And so we're in the column of the tone number 11, which is all about dissolution. So everything within this column is all about, on one level, the spectral energy of dissolution. This particular energy, though, within that is the 13 tone energy, which is the cosmic energy of endurance and presence, and we're working with the energy of the star because we can go ahead and look at the energy on the left to see where that is. So we got the 13 star working within this energy of the column 11, and you can even break this down further because this is broken down actually into 5 separate seasons. Each one of these seasons is made up of 4 periods of 13 days. So a wave spell is 13 days. There's 4 wave spells that make up one season, or otherwise known as a castle. And you have 5 castles which make up the whole grid, the whole 260 grid of this Zolkin. Okay, so that's the basics of how you count it. So every day as I'm reading off a bit of information, I'm just going to the next number in order. So since we're here today, let me just show you, since we're here at this 13 right here, tomorrow we're going to progress down 1 number to the moon, because that's the number next kin after the star, which is the moon. And we're going to go from the moon down to the next symbol. We're at the 13 tone. We're going to go to the next tone, which is the 1 tone. So tomorrow's a magnetic day. So 13 days jump off, which we do today. Tomorrow we're going to go to a 1 tone day. All right, so is that making sense to you? So we've got the 13 tones, we got the 20 symbols, and now you know how they interact. It's like weaving together a rug, a carpet, so to speak. All right, that is the dream spell for today, and that brings us to the end of our show for our final closing bit of information, which we're going to do a little meditation here for today. So let's go ahead and close things out just by go ahead and close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes, and I simply want you to imagine I want you to imagine that everything in the world is perfect. Everything in the world is perfect. I know it's this thought that's kind of far from the way things are in reality at the moment, but our imaginations can take us to a place where we imagine the perfection. Imagine what the world would be like if it is perfect, if everything was working smoothly, if all our budgets and our deficits and problems were gone, if all the fears and challenges were gone and we were living in peace and harmony. Imagine what that is like. Imagine what that is like. Hold that thought of peace in your mind. Hold the thought of love in your mind. And know that this opportunity of this peaceful perfection upon the planet is possible. We just have to find that place inside of us that can believe that and allow that to come forward. So while you're thinking of love and peace, I want you to imagine sending that energy out all around the planet. Send that energy out all around the planet. Imagine others receiving the energy of love and peacefulness that you are sending their way, and then feel the energy of love and peacefulness being sent your way. Direct that energy down into the earth. To send love and peacefulness into the earth, and direct that energy up into the cosmos. And just allow yourself to feel the energy as you are situated between the above and the below. And with that thought of love in your heart, and with a thought of good vibes for the entire planet, let's bring our energy and attention back to the present moment, continuing to think good thoughts for everyone. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, come back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, come back to the present moment strengthened by the experiences of the past. Happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. And that, my friends, well, that's the end of another prayer. Another good vibe that we want to send out into the world. I think it's always important. You know, there's so many crazy things going on in the world these days. It's easy to get caught up in all of these, to get caught up in the fears and the doubts. But our challenge is to be aware of those things and move past them. For we are at a time of galactic graduation, and galactic graduation means rising above the doubts and the fears that have held us back so that we can go out to become bigger and better as we are destined to be. So we're all in this together, my friends. No matter what these fears are, what these challenges, we end things on a positive note, because that is the promise that we have. If we read through all prophetic material that is out, the book of Revelations, the works of Nostradamus, on and on, there's always the promise of hope. There's the promise of peace at the end of a tribulation time. Well, that time of peace is up to us, my friends. We're the ones who have to make that happen by bringing that in. And we bring it in by believing, first of all, that it is possible. We believe that, we can go a long way. All right, my friends, it's been a pleasure as always. Remember, we're all in this together. We're all going to get through this together. For Dirk Bradshaw, my name's Josh Poet. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, you have a great day. Peace. I'm out of here.